Welcome to another Still Stoked Chats. Today we are at our little beach shack in Freshie, and I've got one of my favourite people with me, Gee Cormack. She is a high performance coach and the owner of Chick Surf School, and also we are lucky enough to say one of our coaches on our MENTAWAIS boat trip, which is coming up later this year. So welcome, Gee.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're not a stranger to my couch.
No, I was here on the weekend.
Over some wine, again talking about surfing. So why I've got you here today is I wanted to talk about, just have a chat about some of the things that women that are intermediate surfers that are looking to get better. What is your advice? Like, what can we do if we are looking to get better and we're serious about our surfing? How's the best to go about that? Is it just time in the water? Is it fitness? What is it? What do you think?
I think being a beginner, being intermediate, or being advanced, there are split categories within each of those simple categories. So you actually have like lower beginner and more advanced beginner, lower intermediate, more advanced intermediate, lower advanced, higher advanced.
Yeah.
And understanding what that means, and within those categories what your goals should be, because a lot of people go, oh, okay, yeah, I've kind of progressed into an intermediate surfer, and then they see other people who call themselves intermediate surfers and they're like, whoa, I can't do that. Like, I'm not at that level, but I'm not a beginner. So I think firstly understanding where you actually sit in that learning progression, and that will help you understand what goals you should be setting.
Yeah.
Because we are always aiming for that top goal, but we need to acknowledge and go through the steps to get to that, which is what that person has had to do as well. So always being able to understand where you actually are in your surfing and what aspects of your surfing need work on. So sometimes it's not your stock standard things, board management, popping up, timing of catching a wave. Sometimes it is other aspects like making sure you're breathing properly if you are in that bigger surf, making sure that you're actually reading the crowd properly, or making sure that your technique on the types of boards that you're choosing to ride is correct. And also that you are reading conditions that are right for the equipment that you're on.
Yeah, that you're on.
And a lot of that stuff we misread because we generally, if we are at a lower level of our surfing, we're generally surfing with people who are a little bit more advanced, or we're comparing ourselves to the people that we see in the water. And we don't quite know what to focus on, when, and how to work on that progression in a productive and positive way.
I think like surfing with people that are better than you is always, or is it like, I always find it's always a good way I think that's how I got better at surfing. And I didn't get like a carte blanche when we go up the coast and we know it's like a 4 to 6 foot, and I get there, I don't get to play the card like, oh, it's a bit big for me, I'm not going out, because I'd never live it down. I surf with all boys. Or I used to surf with all boys. Now I've got my girl crew. But and I think that definitely helped me. But positioning on days like that, that's where I always, that's why I got flogged all the time.
And that's where it is really important. So you and I are a slightly different breed of female to a lot of females.
I've got 6 stitches in my head from Monday, and I was just saying to Gee, I got my leg rope wrapped around my shin and almost degloved my leg on Sunday. So yeah.
So we generally can handle a little bit more physical battering and bruising, and we bounce back. And not everyone is like that. And that's where we need to understand, not for everyone is that I've actually never had women to surf with. I have my whole life surfed with guys as well. And I've always been that one that I'm a sucker for punishment, and it forces me to grow, it forces me to learn, it forces me to progress. But
so suck it up.
But with coaching over the years, this is my 14th year now of coaching, and I've had to understand that that's not the right way for
Yeah.
everyone. And actually, predominantly women need a bit more of a nurturing environment where their bodies aren't being throttled. And especially at the moment, women's surfing is growing. The majority of it is middle-aged women. And middle-aged, I'm not saying, 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm saying kind of 30s or even 25 and up. Like women that are women, not young children. And so they don't have the desire to punish their bodies through heavy things and bounce back. It's just not what they're capable of doing. So it's understanding, okay, who is a positive reinforcement for me? Because a lot of the time for women who are learning or trying to progress with their surfing, if they just go out with a bunch of guys that can surf, who, to be fair, want to get waves themselves, so they're not going to have that tolerance, that patience, that nurturing space. Maybe that's not the best place for people, for women to progress or learn with their surfing. Maybe they do need to be with some other women that are at similar levels, and always being with some women who obviously know more than you so that things are safe, but actually keeping in a space where it's like, it's okay that I'm at the stage that I'm at because I'm learning and it's fun and we're all positive, and it's not just about the surfing. But when you do get to a certain stage of your surfing, and it's normally when you are at that intermediate to advanced level, it's a bit more physical, and you need to be able to accept the fact that it is your body physically needs to be able to handle more. You've got to be able to stop, start, sprint. You've got to be able to physically move your body, handle the waves, handle the takeoffs, all that sort of stuff. And that's where that space of being with people who are more advanced, that just allow you to just, I'm just going to go. Take the fall or take that drop is a really good thing. But it depends on where you sit with your surfing, what level you are, and where it's going to be beneficial. Because if you are beginner, you don't want to have too much of a battering and bruising, because it can...
Trauma.
Yeah, it becomes quite
overwhelming. You don't want to go back to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend we had a really big swell.
Yes, we did.
And it was great. I ended up in hospital. But yeah, on Saturday I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go out. And everyone's like, what? All the boys were like, what? Of course you're going out. Of course you're going out. And I got to the beach and I was like, all right, yeah, I can do this. Yeah. And it was like big 8 to 10 foot sets coming through, that paddle fitness and that strength and that confidence that I can double duck dive, and that I can spot the waves and I have that awareness, and the positioning again, like not being right where you on a smaller wave where you're on the peak, like when it gets that big, because it jacks so quickly, you had to be further down the line. And I was really grateful to have my boy crew calling me out, and I was so stoked to see a couple of girls out there as well. A few of them had no idea what they were in for, but one of them was charging as well. So
I think a really good thing when you are paddling with the boys, I think a good thing to understand is where their positioning is and where your positioning is, because depending on who you're surfing with and their ability and their physical strength. So my partner is 6'2" and he's 97 kilos. So he's a big boy, I'm short, like a 13-year-old girl, and I weigh 57 kilos. So even though we can both surf big waves, he is able, because he's so upper body strong, he can just get himself on a wave from much further out than what I can. I just don't have that physical ability. So when we sit out at a peak, I will always have to sit in from where he is, because I physically can't paddle as fast as he can and have that wave actually take me. I don't have the physical weight or the ability to move my body that fast. So you also, if you are surfing with guys, not sitting on the shoulder like this, if you are going to sit on the shoulder because you're a little bit nervous about the peak, that's fine, but you need to understand that you have to sit on the shoulder and sit in, not evenly sit on the shoulder from where they are, because you will need that extra 1-2 paddle to lock onto it, you're on the weaker spot. Or if you're comfortable in that surf and you are with the boys, you need to be able to sit in a little bit away from them. So not in their line, but sitting in a spot where you're actually, their paddle is the equivalent of your paddle, but you're a little bit further in, so you can lock on where you need to, and they can lock on from where they need to.
I never really thought about it that way. Like I do surf a lot more volume to help me get onto the wave sooner, especially when it's bigger. I was surfing like a 6-1 this weekend, my step up, which definitely helped. But yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
How have you got any advice for helping, like any things that we can do to help read the waves better? Like, do you mind surf them, like look at different waves and see how they're going to break from the beach? I know, like lining up and finding something to line up with before you paddle out, so you know, right, I can see it's breaking there, I'm going to line up here, and kind of triangulate a little bit.
There's visualization is always a really key one. We so frequently go and check the surf and we see a guy scream across the road. We're like, oh, the surf's epic, sweet, I'm going to go out there. But what you've done is you've watched them surf the wave. You haven't actually visualized yourself on the wave, and you are going to surf it very different to the person next to you. So you need to make sure that when you're doing your surf check, a really good thing to do is to actually look at the wave, watch it break, try and blank out everyone else in the water, and visualize yourself actually riding the wave, not focusing on the big wall of whitewash that happens. A lot of people, as they're trying to progress in their surfing, they focus so heavily on the dumping part of a wave, and I'm like, yeah, but you won't be there. You would have been further down the line. So why are you looking at this when technically you should be there? So you're visualizing yourself getting smashed, which is when you then paddle out and go for a wave and you look down and you go, whoa, it's because you have visualized that negative space. So if you actually do your surf check and have a look at the formation of the wave and see yourself surfing that wave and what you potentially will do, then you're matching the conditions of the day with your ability, which is a really important thing, and we've spoken about that before. But also you're putting yourself in a state of mind where you are more committed to what you want to do, and it allows you, once you then go out the back, what I like to call is, if we're surfing in a little bit bigger surf, and again, if it's a beginner, it could be 1 to 2 foot. If it's intermediate, 3 to 5 foot. If it's advanced, 5 to 7 foot. You need to be able to understand as well yo-yoing with the surf. So, okay, these sets are coming. All right, I need to paddle out, get into a clear space where I can get up and over the wave, or I'm in a duck diving spot where I can get under, and then that set's gone, I need to move back in. Okay, how long can I sit in here? Where is the wave that I want, which is normally the smaller one in the set at the beginning? Where is that wave breaking? Okay, I can see it's breaking here and here. All right, that's where you then set your marking points, because you go, the energy of the wave is pulling me to here. The wave that I want is actually breaking here. But I need to understand that every 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, there's maybe 3 or 4 waves coming through. But from here, I can get out to a safe zone. But you got to come back in. So frequently we paddle out and then the sets go. And then you're waiting way too far out, and you get frustrated. And what happens is, after a while, you end up going for a wave that you shouldn't have gone for because you're frustrated. Instead of playing just that yo-yo dance and that's where you've got to listen to the water, understand the times of when the pulses are coming in, the type of wave that you want, where your marking points are, all that stuff really helps you gauge an independent assessment of the surf for your ability.
I think that independence in the surf, I think you mentioned that on the weekend when we were chatting, that like to be independent in the surf, to make your own decisions, to have the confidence to go out and surf bigger waves alone, and make the decisions of where you're going to sit, and not being at kind of the group think mentality. That comes with comfort in the water, that comes with experience, it comes with learning how to do your surf check properly, making decisions on which waves to go for and which waves not to go for. I should never have gone for this one that I hit my head on.
But it's always a learning
I
curve.
know. 7 days out the water. 10 days they said, but I'm saying 7. Yeah.
And it depends on why you got into surfing in the first place.
True. Yeah.
I didn't really have anyone around me that surfed, so I really surfed for a solo reason. My brother was a bodyboarder, and he was a really good bodyboarder, and you know, he tried surfing, and so I did, because I wanted to be just like my brother. But I didn't really have. He then went back to bodyboarding, and so I surfed and he bodyboarded. But
Yeah.
I surfed because I wanted to surf, and a lot of people are like, oh, well, my dad got me into surfing, or my brother got me into surfing, or my boyfriend or husband or whatever. And I think you're surfing because of someone else, and so you then attach your experience with someone else. Oh, well, yeah, me and my husband go out, or me and my girlfriend go out, or you know, whatever it is. It's a team thing. Surfing is a solo sport.
Yeah.
It's not a team sport. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you need to know why you're out there and what you're looking for. And most people nowadays who are picking up surfing are doing it because of someone else.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
I think.
Do you find that more with women are doing it like because their boyfriend partners got into it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, but you go down to the beach, and a lot of guys have girlfriends that are with them that are surfing, and most of the time, not all the time, most of the time the girl is the beginner and the guy is the advanced. So they do go off that, well, he's my safety net, and so I trust whatever he will tell me where to go or what to do or whatever, and I trust his judgment. And I like to say, I know how to speak English. I would have no idea how to teach someone the language of English. They're not surf coaches. They don't know what to do or what to look for. So that's where you either go to a surf coach or you learn independently to figure
it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of surfing comes instinctively, right? Like you can't really communicate sometimes like exactly the right place to be popping up, or how the waves coming in.
You learn.
Yeah.
Most surfers originally, I know for me, I'm from the northern beaches and I grew up in the ocean. So all of us, we are water people. That's what my family is. And so a lot of those skills that we have are taught at such a young age, and we don't realize it is from experience. Whereas in people are picking up this sport at a later stage and come from England or come from Germany or come from these more landlocked countries or countries that surfing isn't part of the culture, and expecting to have that 20 years that 20-year-old has of ocean knowledge that is naturally ingrained in who they are. And that isn't something that is just going to happen with time in the water. Or it can, but you won't be a good surfer until you're 60.
Yeah,
you
totally.
know, you got to add that 20 years on. That's what we're here to help that progression happen much shorter. But that frustration comes in because you see all these little ripping kids and go, oh, but they're so good at it. It's like, well, yeah, but they've been in the ocean their whole life.
Yeah.
You know?
Melanie, one of the writers on Still Stoked, wrote a really good article about this when she was injured, sitting on the North Shore watching people just body surf, and the kids body surfing, and then bodyboarding, and then surfing. Yeah. And she was like, oh, look at this progression. Like, of course, they know exactly like how the shorey is going to behave, and just because of that time of like that intimacy with the waves. And so yeah, like when you're injured, body surfing's a good thing to do. And I think
definitely any time in the water. But as an adult, you say to someone, okay, you want to be a good surfer. Yeah, I want to be a good surfer. Okay, well, what's the main thing you want to focus on? Oh, well, I need to know how to get up on a surfboard. Yeah. No mention of the water whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the reason why these kids are such good surfers is not because they've been on a board their whole life, it's because they've been in the water.
Yeah.
So 50% of it is standing up on a surfboard and understanding how the surfboard works and how your body moves, but that needs to evenly be recognized with actually understanding the water and understanding the patterns of the water. And we've just had this big swell. all the sandbanks are going to be different.
Yeah.
So observe the formation of the beach. You go to Manly and there's this huge like cheese wedge of sand, and then you wonder why the waves are a little bit funky today. It's like, well, all the sandbanks have been shifted. Of course it's going to be different, you know, and there's all that stuff needs to be put into consideration that adults just generally
just want to
don't.
skip a few
They
phases.
do.
Want to
They
skip a
wanna
few
s-
phases.
Yeah, and it just, you can't, because
Yeah.
it really highlights that it's not just about the board. You got to understand the water.
And I think, like, for me as a snowboarder coming to surfing, I was like, fuck, I got to get good at this real quick.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, so I like didn't really get a mini mal. I kind of just went straight onto like a shorter board.
Yeah.
And I tried to cut so many corners.
Yeah.
I did cut so many corners. And then when I started working with a coach, Twiggy, who's going to be on the boat with us as well, Twiggy got me back on, put me on a little bigger board with a bit more volume. We're still talking like around the 6 foot mark. But because I had some really bad habits from snowboarding and from not having good technique from the start that we needed to sort out before I could even start to think about doing maneuvers.
So tell me, why did he put you on a bigger board?
So to slow down my takeoff,
Good.
to help me to get the waves sooner before they're breaking, just to generally give me more time.
Good.
So then I could think, right, where's my back foot? Because the problem I had snowboarding, my feet, as you'll know, being an ex-snowboarder, plus 18, minus 12 all the time, and hips sort of facing parallel to the side of my rails. Whereas what you want to be is that slightly on your inside and facing where you want to go. And every time I jumped up to my feet, you know, I could jump off the roof of this building and I would land 18 minus 12. My hips are like molded that way. So I had to like relearn all of this body positioning. And if I'm doing that like instantly on a quick wave, that wave's gone before I've even had the thought to be like, what's my back foot doing?
What does the smaller board do that is different to a bigger board? Why would a coach, and this is something really important for people who are listening to these sorts of things, it's really important because coaches, we do it all the time. We're like, you actually have to get off that and go to a bigger board. So what is it that a smaller board does? Why would we get you on a bigger board? You've explained that, but why then is a smaller board no good?
I would just say just because everything's so much faster, right? The opposite of that. And not as much volume. Good. So, and a performance board, you've got to be able to performance surf it. And if you haven't got the technique to performance surf it, you're not going to get the response from the performance board. So moving away from the performance board, put your ego and your dreams to the side for a moment and just fix that technique. So then when you can then go back on a shorter board, you've got more skills and equipment to apply to it.
Yeah, so bigger boards with more volume. I like to say, think about it, the equivalent of a dinghy to the ferry in Manly, okay?
Little boat, big boat.
Yeah, a dinghy is going to be really wobbly in the water. A ferry is very easy to stand on. So surfing is the same. The bigger the board, the more forgiving it is, or with the more volume. And we're not talking about longer. A lot of people come to us with a giant 9.6 as a beginner, and I'm like, are you insane? That's the art of longboarding. If you want to master longboarding, that's fine, but you don't start off on a big board. Oh yeah, but I thought it was bigger the better. And it's, you've got to understand actually what that means. It doesn't mean length. It means width and volume. So you can have a small board, but as long as it's wide and thick, you're going to be okay on it. And it allows you to make mistakes and be able to not be punished by those mistakes. So you can recorrect it because the board kind of balances for you. Whereas in a small board is so refined, it is designed to respond to any body movement. Even if it's the wrong body movement. And the small boards, what a lot of people don't understand with small boards, and they'll say, I'm just not going anywhere. A big board has its own speed. Longboards actually create speed, whether you like it or not. You know, they go across a wave, and you'll see longboarders all the time. They've got a stall and all this sort of stuff. Whereas in a shortboard, you need to create speed. It wants to sink into the water. So if you don't have that physical upper body strength to actually move something that with your body weight is wanting to sit under the water, then you're going to really, really struggle to progress. And once you are up, that board is designed to respond to any body movement. So it's great once you're doing the right body movement, but if it's wrong, it won't allow for mistake, and it'll buckle you every single time. And you are not going to know what you're doing wrong, because a wave takes around 3 seconds, if we're lucky, 3 to 5 seconds, for you to try and do something you've never done before on a board that is not going to allow you to make mistakes. You're really not giving yourself a good chance there. So we always, as coaches, can see people that have avoided that first steps because their surfing is so wobbly and so all over the place, because that's what they've learnt on. I'm like, dude, get onto a bigger board, listen to what your body's doing. Then once your body is in the correct movement, then go onto a smaller board, and you'll find that it will do what you want it to do with minimal movement.
Yeah. I think for me, having worked with yourself and with Twiggy, and having video analysis was massive.
Yeah, it's great.
And seeing...
It's a bit of a reality check.
It's such a reality show. I was like, do I look like that?
That's not me. And that wave was way bigger than that.
Oh my God, that wave was way bigger than that. What do you mean it was just on my head?
I know, totally.
Yeah, that massive reality check.
Yeah.
And yeah, but so good.
Yeah,
you know, but
totally.
so good. The girls and I are gonna, because I'm injured at the moment, we're gonna film each other I'm going to film them this week, sitting on the beach. But yeah, so that was huge for me, because I could actually see what my body was doing and how I thought I was going up and down, but I was just pushing my bum out.
Yeah.
You know, and the skateboarding's been huge for that, and we'll come on to that in a minute. But yeah, that was really, really important, the video analysis. And I honestly, I would have saved, I've been surfing 10 years now, I would have saved so much time if I had done that earlier. If I had just gone, and it's not like, oh, I'm getting surf instruction, lessons that you equate with like a beginner and foamies in the whitewash. It's like actually just spending, like, get your girlfriends or your guy friends together and go and get an intermediate to advanced class, wherever you are on that scale that we spoke about, and get some video analysis. And then, you know, that might be 1 or 2 sessions, and then you've got the next thing to work on, and you've got the tools in your tool cupboard, and
you can watch it over and over and over again. And that's the thing, is that you end up seeing things, and if you're with a good coach, they will highlight the things you need to practice. And there's always a lot, you know, you're always looking, it's like, oh God, I need to work on that.
Yeah.
But actually, which one is the thing I should focus on first? Because if there's a list of 10 things, and we all have 10 things in our surfing that we need to work on, especially me, which one's actually the most important one, or which one is going to help these other ones? That's where we need to start to understand what sits where, and how it affects our surfing, and all that sort of stuff. And that's where trips like what we're doing are so good, because you can get a bunch of other people who are at similar levels to you, and actually just sit and understand your surfing. You know, that to sit in a group and just be core to surfing with people who actually know what they're talking about is such an important experience for your surfing. Because what it does, the difference between solo coaching and doing clinics or trips away or whatever, is that you're with a whole bunch of other people where you can see their mistakes, and you learn from their mistakes,
and you can
well.
apply it to
and you can go,
what you're doing.
Oh, I might not be doing that, but okay, I know why you shouldn't do that. Okay, that makes sense. And also, it builds up your confidence, because what I like to do in my coaching is actually always celebrate the achievements as well. So video analysis or getting coaching can allow you to understand what you're actually doing right.
Yeah.
And so, okay, cool, I don't need to focus on my paddling because I'm paddling properly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because everyone says, like, you're paddling and you pop up and this, but if I don't have my paddling, okay, cool, I can just work on my pop up.
Yeah.
You know, so it allows you to understand what you're doing wrong, but also what you're doing right, and how that affects your surfing. So these group environments are really good, and to do it somewhere where everyone is vulnerable. No one's surfed in this location before, so everyone is learning at the same time, and you feed off each other, and the excitement and the adrenaline and the, it's a whole nother experience. And the fact that you get to take that home and that is your motivation to keep going, they're so priceless. And the beauty of women in the water is that we support and cheer each other on. So you can get the tiniest wave, but ride it all the way in, and you can normally hear me in the surf. That's why my voice is already always crackly, but I'm like, wow, and they'll be like, yeah,
I'm a massive
cool,
frother for everyone in the surf too.
And everyone cheers each other because you understand they're just as vulnerable as I am out here, and they make mistakes too. Okay, I'm not the only one, and so I really love the trips away. I love the clinics for that reason. Is it's just this beautiful bubble of positive vulnerability.
That's a good way to put it.
So,
and like just to have an immersive environment where you're like, right, I've got 12 nights, 2 weeks, a week, whatever it is, and all I'm doing is focusing on my improvement, on what identifying what I'm doing wrong, figuring it out, and then what I'm doing. And then on the MENTAWAIS boat trip that we're doing, we've got video analysis at the beginning, then in the middle, and then probably at the end, and then at the end. So you're actually like looking at what you're applying and how you're doing it, and hopefully seeing some improvement across those.
And I think a good thing with the trips is also not setting your standards too high or your goals too high, because sometimes you do the video analysis and you're like, oh God, I have to work on this and this and this and this and this, and it's like, okay, hold on, I've got 12 days, so we'll do a video analysis, and then as coaches we see repetition in a mistake, and we can go, okay, for this trip, just that is your one bit of homework that I want you to work on. At the end, these are the things that will be next, but just for this trip, that one thing will change everything for your surfing. So it's also being a bit realistic on how many habits we can nut out on a 12-day trip, and understanding where to go from there afterwards, so that you have consistent goals onwards, which is always exciting.
Yeah.
Because it's no good if someone says to you, oh no, you're great, you're not doing anything.
For me, like, there was 0 point me even working on my up and down, on my compression and extension, when my back knee was pointing to the tail of my board, because my compression and extension was just...
It's called stationary. You're in what we call it a stationary
Poo
position.
Man.
Yeah, for some people they stick their bum out. For some people a shortboard needs to be in an accelerated position.
Yeah, like a lunge.
Yeah, where we have a lot of pressure on our back foot, obviously, to secure our fins. But a lot of weight is in that forwards accelerated position, and that's where that on-land training comes in. And being in that, what can be known as a poo man stance, it's a very stationary position. So you're expecting the wave to take you. The wave doesn't take you. You actually need to generate speed on the wave. Yeah. So that's where fixing that positioning will allow you to time your compression and extension in a way that is encouraging the board, not kind of just stalling the board, like down, up, down, up. You're kind of, it's more of a forwards pump,
which we're learning on the skateboards. Yeah. So the girls and I have got, I've done sessions with you. Yeah. We got the Smooth Star, and when the waves suck in the morning, we go, we'll just go for a quick 20 minutes on the netball courts. Yeah. And that has been a game changer. Yeah. Just like with the, I know I'm doing things wrong, and I'm going to go and have a few more sessions with you, but I could see just how I was able to generate speed on the skateboard, and then when I'm on the wave, it kind of was coming second nature to go do the up and down, and to like throw my arms and use my arms to generate speed, whereas before I wasn't doing that. Yeah.
So it allows you to understand what you need to do on that split second of a wave. You actually have you've filed away what you need to do, and you're like, okay, well, this is what I've been practicing, so your body will naturally do that motion, and then the board just responds, and you're going, wow, this is actually quite easy, it's not difficult. Yeah. But that's what the on-land training on those boards allows you to remove the intensity of a wave and repetitively do specific rotation work or compression, or, you know, we do strength and conditioning, to allow your body to understand what it needs to do, so that in that split second that you're catching that wave, you naturally will go to those movements. And because the board simulates surfing so well, those same motions are really quite easy to mimic in the water. And then you see people surfing and you're like, oh my God, yeah, he just scooped. I can see that on his bottom turn.
Scoop and clap.
That's why Gee has been yelling at me to scoop the whole time.
I haven't told you this actually. I'm really excited. I'm like, I want to tell you. The one thing that I have done on the skateboard that I've now taken to the water is doing my turns with a straight front leg and back on my fins.
Yeah.
And I'll go up and I'll have my leg come around and I'll bring it round.
Yeah.
And then and I'm like, I paddle over and I'm like, Valentina, who's like one of my best friends that I surf with, or the boys, I'm like, I straighten my front leg like on the smooth stuff.
That's great.
Yeah, and I never, I'm a snowboarder, everything's initiated with my front leg.
Yeah.
So, I never would have been able to do that.
When you're doing those turns, it's important that that weight is still quite even through that rotation. But one thing that you would probably be doing, not necessarily that your front leg is straight, but actually that your front arm is not going down. It's more in that midsection. So our front arm generally simulates the formation of the wave. So if you're in a low tide wave, you're doing more vertical turns. So bottom, top. Whereas if you're on a rounded wave, which to be honest, most people are on, they'll surf that kind of mid-tide, then you want to be doing that round turn, which means that your front arm comes up. It's not down because you're not vertical, you're actually on a rounded wave. And so if you can keep that front arm up and coming round, you will be able to hold the board through that turn instead of bogging the rail or, you know, tipping the board too quickly. So
And the arms, are so, Twiggy made me watch loads of surf videos and not look at Mick Fanning's board, but only watch his arms. And he was I think it was covering his arm over it, just so I could just watch what he's doing with his arms, because it's all in his upper body. And how high his arms.
Well, you think about in snowboarding or in anything, I like to say gymnastics, because a lot of people have done some form of gymnastics or try and do a flip when they've maybe had too many beverages. But you use your arms first, right?
Yeah.
Everything is arms and then body follows. If your core is engaged, arms, then your body follows. And it's the same with snowboarding when you're doing spins or flips. You look and you throw your arms and your body follows. And surfing is the same. Your arm should be that split second ahead of your board.
Yeah.
And you can see it in so many photos of someone doing a top hack and their upper body is pointing back down to the beach and their board is still vertically up, you know, because their arms are a split second ahead of their board. It's like a typical photo. But people just don't think about it. They think that it's all lower body, but it's not. It's a mix of the two.
Here.
Yeah. You have to be very free and confident to move your arms around, because what you're doing is exposing your body to more impact. And surfing is very much a free-flowing movement. If we're too stiff, it doesn't quite work. So, but to build up that confidence, to be loose and flexible and flowy with your body takes time, because we're generally like, come on, I really want this to work. You know,
everyone's looking at me.
Our bodies are really tense and the board is, you know, responding in a certain way. And so to be able to be free flowing and loose. And I said this, I was coaching an advanced guy yesterday, and I said, you know, you want to get more vertical in your turns, you have to be willing to fall again. You know, intermediate to advanced, don't fall that much, because you get to a certain stage where you're like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm pretty good, but you want to get better than that, you have to step out of your comfort zone. And that means falling again, because you're learning something new. You're doing something you haven't done before, so you don't know how the board responds. You don't know how it responds on the wave. So
I'm so scared to go for a closing turn on a closeout section. So what I always do is, with all the speed, I launch myself off the back and fly like Superman, and it's really fun. And I'm like, wee! But I know.
Everyone goes, that was your spot to turn.
Totally, you know, and then I paddle back and my friends are like, hey, next time, just try and smack that section.
Yeah.
Just try and go up and then point it back to the beach.
The lip is the most aggressive part.
I know, I'm scared.
So, yeah, totally.
I'm
because
scared
if
of
you
the
do it
fins.
wrong,
I'm scared of knocking my teeth out again.
Yeah.
I'm scared of like every time I surf a longer board, it kick flips and the fins get me in the in the thigh.
Yeah.
So I'm scared to do that. But I know that's exactly what you're saying. Like I don't want to fall. It's easier for me to launch myself off the back.
But practice it in smaller surf first.
Yeah, true.
It's like everything I say to people. Why are you trying to duck dive in a 3 to 4 foot wave when you have not duck dived at all in a 1 foot wave? You're not going to suddenly know how to do it. You practice popping up in whitewash so that you can then do it in a bigger wave or an open-faced wave. So it's the same principle. Try practicing that in a small... You see kids all the time catching a wave all the way to the shore, even though it's broken, and you'll see them try and ollie or
milking
kick
it for everything.
Totally, because they are practicing so that when they are in that bigger surf, they can start to implement it. They're not going to suddenly know how to do it. So try that in smaller surf, but when you're doing those sorts of maneuvers, you have to remember to force the board to do what you want it to do. If you hesitate, that lip is going to tell the board to come back at you. So you need to push against the wave and you force that water to move and bring it back down confidently. It's about the pressure that your legs can handle in doing those sorts of maneuvers. Again, it has to be implemented in smaller surf so that when you are in bigger surf, that is relevant, not just going out in bigger surf and going,
I'm going to try.
Oh, well, I
smack
should
a
have
closeout section.
Yeah. You know, it's like getting people to go from just going across a wave, which feels really, really great because they've never gone across a wave before and it's a green face wave and it feels amazing, to suddenly going, oh, we'll try and do a turn. And like, but what if I fall? I lose the rest of that wave. And it's like, yeah, but that's not an achievement anymore. You've got to step out of it and you've got to try turning. And they'll fall and go, oh, but the wave kept going. And it's okay. Another wave will come. But this is progression.
Yeah.
Is falling again, maybe even when you didn't want to. So instead of launching up and over, if it's smaller surf, start to experiment with that.
Yeah.
Because all you're going to do is learn. But don't try and do it in surf that
it's got a lot of power in it.
And that's where accidents happen. We get this confidence and this adrenaline.
Definitely the
adrenaline kicks in, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe, and you're like, that really didn't work the way I thought it would. But when did you practice it?
But that's a good point, because I moan when the waves are 2 foot. I don't really enjoy surf. I don't have the boards for it, but I do now. I've got a bigger board for that reason. But yeah, I get just a bit grumpy. But what I should do, because it's sloppy here and it's then really busy and whatnot. But I mean,
if you get on the right board you can make almost any surf fun.
Totally. And I got myself like a single fin. I think it's 7 foot. I'm going to learn to crouch and read the waves better and use my rails. And so that's going to be the goal that I have. When the waves are I'm going to take that board out and that's going to be my focus. But if I don't ride that board, I should take, my board that has, probably not my 20, but my board that has the most volume and try and milk the waves to the last bit of the beach.
Try and do it on a foamy.
Yeah.
Like we've got down to 5'4" foamies, know, and just trying to, it's quite easy to drift a foam board, and then get on a smaller foam board, a 6'6", and drift a 6'6" foam board, then get on down to a 6'0" foam board and drift a 6'0" foam board.
The foamies are fun, actually. We do take those out every now and then.
You learn from them because they introduce play, you know, and they remove that fear of for a lot of people being hit by their board. So again, it allows you to feel more confident in stepping out of your comfort zone. And if getting on a foamy, whatever type of foamy you want to get on, will allow you to do that, then do it. Like, you don't have a time frame. Well, I don't have a time frame with my surfing. I've got the rest of my life to surf. So if I'm going to practice something, I need to actually be conscious of putting that time in smaller surf and understanding that all surf is play. That's why I love onshore surf, because it creates sections that weren't there when you saw the wave forming, and then suddenly there's this spot and you get nailed and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, that was sick.
But
I
it's
totally
fun.
floated.
And it's always better than it looks.
Yeah, totally.
You come out and you're like, oh, actually, it's quite fun. Everyone's
Yeah.
like, nah, you're off your head. It's shit.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, like you went out there. I chuckled to myself. So, and you know, I'm out there. On Monday, I was out there for 9 hours.
Yeah.
Like I am out there all day, every day, and people always say, "Don't you ever get sick of it?" And it's like, well, no, because I've learned to figure out, okay, if I can't work on my surfing and my shortboard surfing, and there's a lot of things I want to work on, then I need to learn to work on the other aspects of my surfing. And to tell you the truth, being more open-minded to riding different boards in different conditions. Every time I get on my shortboard, I'm surprised at what I'm doing, because I'm like, wow, hey, that was actually, like the other day I did a full awesome turn right in the pocket, and these guys were like, that was a sick turn, and I hadn't been on my shortboard for a while, and I was like, wow, yeah, that was surprised me. It felt really good when I haven't been practicing.
Yeah.
But because I've been on all these other boards and, you know, moving around, my body is fit. I'm quite free in my train of thought when I'm out there, that it's allowing all aspects of my surfing to progress without me realizing, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
You know? And you can't be too hard on yourself with shortboard surfing.
Yeah, because it's not always the conditions for it.
Yeah, exactly. And you end up loving surfing for sometimes the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You know, and so frequently we don't have the right conditions, so you got to love the wrong conditions
Got to pick
first.
yeah, totally. Flick Palmetier, the surfer, I interviewed her, and she said, because she rides all sorts of different boards and twinnies and big wave boards, and and she was like, yeah, it's so good for your surfing to play with your boards and feel the difference. And I've rode 3 different boards this weekend. Yeah. And got a new board and couldn't surf it because the waves were too big for the 5.7s. So I had to wait. But then it was just so nice to see how they all respond differently and how I have to react.
Yeah, because your body has to move differently depending on what you're on.
Is that one of the things that you see most in your school, of like people on the wrong boards for the conditions?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing worse than seeing someone who's decided that they're a longboarder going on a hollow 2-foot sandbank.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's painful to watch.
Yeah.
You know, seeing those boards project up. But then there's nothing worse. Yeah. I know, you're just like,
oh God,
that fin is really big, and you're going directly down onto a hollow wave. Or people on shortboards where you see them, they go to paddle, and you actually are completely laughing on the inside because they literally didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, why are you on such a small board when you clearly don't know what you're doing?
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that they're not trying, and that's why I always say in my class, A for effort, for sure, but you're doing the wrong thing, so it's not going to work, unfortunately. It really is a key thing, because we decide what kind of surfer we want to be. I want to be a longboarder. Okay, but we all still have to start at the same spot. Yeah. I want to be a shortboarder. That's fine. We all have to start at the same spot.
So if someone wants to be a longboarder, should they also be starting on a mini mal? Is a mini mal like
start on foamies. I
and...
like to say, look, every coach is different. I like to say, I coach obviously predominantly women. So smallest, depending on how small or agile the woman is, I say between a 6'6" and an 8'6" is transitioning stages. They are really your testing stages.
So you're working up if you're going.
And this is foam boards. Yeah. So that gives you a good variety to be able to go, do I like that kind of smaller feeling, or do I prefer that longer feeling? Because it ultimately tells you what kind of surfer you're going to be and what kind of conditions you're going to surf in. And also you need to understand where your limits are out in the surf. So you do go down to the beach and go, do I like the feeling of bigger waves? And again, bigger surf can be 3 foot, 2 foot, 1 foot, 10 foot. Do I like that feeling? Is that what I want? Do I want to master that? not really. That's not really something I feel. I just want to be competent in the water. And can I physically sprint on a board? Can I start sprint to get that short board moving? Is that the type of personality that I am? Can I really drive that board? No. Okay, these are things that tell us what kind of surfer you are going to become. Are you an aggressive I mean, I'm like a little pocket rocket. I just want to go all the time. So shortboarding really complements my personality because I like physically being aggressive when I'm doing sport. You know, I like to put my body through those challenges, and shortboarding is very much that. It's that short, sharp, aggressive, intense movement, whereas in longboarding is much more graceful. Of course, there's all different types of longboarding, there's all different types of shortboarding, but generally speaking,
they fall in those two distinct categories.
And they're very different.
Yeah.
So starting off, we all start in the same spot because you don't know what you want to be because you haven't figured that out yet. So give yourself the best chance. You know, I've coached people who are determined to be on shortboards, and I've ended up going, look,
one of those.
You know, I have told you the same things for like the last 6 months, and you're getting sick of me hearing it. You're getting sick of me saying it, and I'm getting sick of saying it.
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't the type of board that you should be on because your ability to stop, start, sprint isn't there. No matter how much you want it, you either go and do the training to make that part of your technique, which takes a lot of time and effort, or you understand that that's just not what you're capable of doing, and we start to move on to boards that allow for what you are capable of doing.
Yeah, and you'll have more fun.
Exactly, that's the thing. At the end of the day,
yeah, you'll get more waves. And you'll have more fun.
Have more fun. But people get so fixated on, I want to be a shortboarder, or I want to be a longboarder. It's like, well, how about we try and do a little bit of it all, because you can't ride one foot on a shortboard.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
So to finish off, what advice would you give to someone like me, right? Someone that's like intermediate, really, really eager to get to the advanced stage so I could go play with the big boys and girls. Super motivated. What would you say to someone like me?
I think that you need to do a little bit more solo surfing to really understand if you want to surf bigger waves. Is it because you want to surf bigger waves, or you want to be out there with the boys? Because they're two different things.
Yeah.
And also really understanding what boards do and how they're affected by different waves. You need to have a bigger variety of boards that you're exposed to, and that's not going from a 5'7" to a 6'2". That's actually understanding longboarding and shortboarding and everything in between, and understanding, oh, okay, in this 1 foot really weak, fat, high tide wave, if I'm on this super fun longboard, okay, well, this is how I would ride that. This is, the more variety you have in your surfing, the more you hone in on your skills on that particular board that you want to master. You're so similar to me. I really, as a young kid, focused on shortboarding. That's all I wanted to do. Longboarding didn't even hit the radar.
Yeah.
And so I went through years and years and years and years and years of shortboarding, and completely disregarded any kind of longboarding. It wasn't until I started coaching that I was exposed to foam boards. And because I had to go on them, I was like, oh my God, this is completely different. And I learnt to love a completely different style of surfing, which also made my shortboarding way more enjoyable, and I was able to hone in on my skills more.
Yeah.
But I had to spend that time independently learning to love all aspects of it. And I think with you, you have that passion and that desire to really want to master shortboarding. But unfortunately, I feel like you need to have the opportunity to be open-minded to all the other areas of surfing to really understand why you want a shortboard. You know, I want a shortboard because of all these reasons. Whereas at the moment, it's like, I want to be able to charge on a big wave like my mates do, and and I'm like that too, you know. I want to get a bow on my shortboard and just, but I know that because I can also ride longboards. I'm not amazing at it. I'm pretty good. I can ride longboards.
Yeah.
But I understand the feeling that gives me and what kinds of conditions I need, and that I still get enjoyment, but I know deep down I am still a shortboarder. That's what I want to do.
And overall, it's just going to be better for my surfing and technique to
That's the
play
thing.
with different boards.
It just allows you to be better, but understand that you need to start going on like maybe 8.2s and things like that in the small days when it
I get so bored.
Yeah, totally.
I'm like,
but
I'm going in a line, and then I'm like, oh.
But you've got to start challenging those concepts. So try and surf in a way that allows you to hold much more drawn out turns.
Yeah,
see if you can
true.
then go back into walking up the board and then doing it foam ball hit and bringing it back around. Like, challenge yourself in the rotation work, because a lot of shortboarding is about holding compression, and a lot of us, if we spend too much time on a shortboard, don't hold our compression for long enough. Longboards, you must hold that compression. You've got to draw out that turn, and you really need to understand how that board is affected underneath your feet, and you need to push that board into that position. So all those things are very key for your shortboarding, but going on a longboard will actually allow that to happen quicker.
Yeah,
so
right.
not just going, oh, I'm on a longboard, this isn't what I want to be on, I want to be on my shortboard, but going, how, I don't have the surf that I want for my shortboard, so how can I make this longboarding be productive for my shortboard
Rather than just sit it out.
Rather than sitting it out or being out there in a negative headspace, because you're not doing ultimately what you want to do, which so frequently is the case for all of us.
Yeah.
You know, you're learning. It's the same with snowboarding.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you don't always get the conditions that you want for pow, but you go and find something else to do.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
then when the PAL comes, you're ready for it.
And then when the pow comes, you're ready for it. Yeah. So.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gee.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So good. Always so good. I love our chats.
Thank you.
And we will be going to the MENTAWAIS in October.
Yay! I'm so excited.
12 nights, 2 coaches, dream waves. And you are going to the Maldives.
Yes, I'm going to the Maldives in about 2 weeks for almost a month.
A land camp.
Yeah, 2
All the
clinics.
girls.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're taking all up almost 30 women. So
Surf Cokes, which is a great rite.
Yep. Yeah. So it's going to be fun, and I love it. I love clinics.
Yeah, it's good. It's just to give yourself time to immerse yourself into fixing and getting better, and doing it with a rad group of women.
Yeah.
And having someone to answer all your questions.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I love also being able to give women the opportunity to potentially catch the wave of their life.
Yeah.
You know, like actually helping someone have an experience that they've never had before is, that's why we do our job.
It's beautiful, huh?
So good.
So good. Some fun, for more info on our surf camps and advice from Gee, I'll put a whole load of links below that you can check out. And if you're interested in coming to the MENTAWAIS, get in touch. And if you're interested in any surfing with Gee, if you are in Sydney or the New South Wales area, get in touch with her via Chick Surf School.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.
And I'll see you in the water.
See ya.